Hi there. Okay, welcome back to Pole Barn, doing an estimate for a pole barn. This is video number 5. Okay, all right, so welcome back. And we are now on the section we just finished, fascia and soffit. We didn't have any, but we talked about that for a minute. We're now on the porch and lean-to section. Okay, if you were going to do a porch or a lean-to, we're not going to on this building, but I'm going to go through it and show you how. If I wanted to put one on eave side 1, I would just hit the update button here and I would choose the style. Now, when we say lean-to, we mean enclosed lean-to. When we say porch, it's going to be open. There are 3 options, okay? This is a continuous, so the eave just continues the pitch along the way, okay? And then dual, it's going to hinge with a different pitch right here at the eave line. Now, just so everybody knows, if you're going to choose an overhang, if you had a 1-foot overhang and you're doing a dual pitch, you have to go the full length. If you go partial length with a dual, we're going to stop you. The reason we stop you is there's no easy, clean transition of doing a zero overhang building with an overhang. Well, I should say, let me rephrase that. There's no easy transition between a dual pitch overhang and the main building overhang to tie those two together. It's pretty ugly. Okay, so we just opted not to allow it. Now that doesn't mean you can't do a partial. All right, you're not going to choose lean-to dual in that case. You would choose half monitor. Now, half monitor just means we call it half monitor only because it's a monitor style building. You're just seeing half of it. Okay, raised center aisle. Some people call it an RCA building. So we're doing the 1/2. Okay, this portion here is half the building. All right, so we call it half monitor. All right, so it's lean-to or porch half monitor. All right, lean-to again means enclosed. If I wanted a floor included in that lean-to, I would check this box here. That's for people who have the contractor labor module. And so when we draw it, we don't draw it as looking like dirt. We draw it as concrete. Okay. And then the pitch is here and the dimensions. So if I set this, let's say I increase this to 17. Notice how this turns red. It's turning red. It's warning you that don't work. So when you drop it down, if it's out of the red zone, you know that this particular section is below the roof line on the main building. Okay, so if you're doing a dual pitch and you want this to go partial way down, we'll let you do it with this style. All you have to do is bring that bottom up just about to the top. Okay, and what you'll find, you'll see that there are transitions that do look nice when it comes to lean-tos, and I'm going to go down here and see if I can find it right now. There are some nice pictures I can show you of how they get around. Let me see here, porch. Is it in here where I can find that porch? No, it is not. Let me look under lean-tos here. There we go. All right, so when I go into lean-tos, I am looking, yep, I found the picture right here. I'm going to pull this up. Now look and see what they did with they kept it right down below the other line instead of trying to bring it up to the eave line. Now, if you were dropped down below the eave line, you could get those two to line up. But when it's hinging at the eave line, it don't look too pretty. So here's a case where this particular user dropped her down and even got below the soffit, which is a great way to go. Save you a lot of trouble when it comes to leaks. Okay. And then here is a dual pitch where they hinged at the eave line. Okay, and notice they come together right here like this, but there's not much of a pitch change on this particular building. But if you went partial way down, it's an issue here. Okay, all right, so enough said on those. All right, I just wanted to show you the difference between those. We'll go back to our estimate. All right, then where you're starting from. So we need to know which corner you're going to snap from, so to speak, and then how long you're going to go. So the length the width. And this is showing you the ceiling height based on which one you selected. When you hit next, we're going to ask you, hey, what do you want to use for poles? What do you want to use for the top girth? Hey, is there an inside wall in this enclosed lane? And if so, would you like the material calculated for metal and wall girts? Okay. And if you check that box, you're going to get that. All right. So when you hit next, overhangs, are we using rafters or mono trusses? And if we're using rafters, you just come in here and you just select all of these. After you've selected them, you're in business. You'll have your porch or your lane. You could do that all the way around the building. We do not draw hip right now. So you could do a gable or an end wall lean, and that could be, or a porch, and it could go all the way around the building. We're just lacking that corner hip. Okay. Next, this is for interior material. It's very self-explanatory. Everything you've seen so far, everything works the same. So when you hit interior, you've got your skirt board, your wall girts, your insulation in the walls, your wall material layers, your floor material layers, where you want to start your siding on the inside of the building, and your interior ceiling. The insulation that'll be in the ceiling purlins, and the ceiling material layers. Okay. All right. Then also, you got an option for radiant heat in the floor. You got an option for miscellaneous items. Just what I wanted to show you with the miscellaneous items is right here. A lot of people think that this is the only category that's available. When you go into product setup, everything you see in here is called the category other products, which is miscellaneous items. Okay, so you can scroll through this to see what it is for you're looking for. Just each one of these do not have a home in Construction Maestro, so to speak. So they're just things that are thrown into the miscellaneous items bin, and then you can select what quantities you want. You're manually doing it at that point. Okay? But just know that there are other categories. You could click on overhead doors, you could click on plywood, you can go to all these different ones and you could say, hey, 7/16 plywood, I want to add 5 extra sheets. Why? Customer wants them. And then just click this button here and that will add those sheets of OSB to the estimate. Now, we also in product setup have a component called product groups, a button or a category, I should say, called product groups. When you click on product groups, you will, and by the way, we put everything in alphabetical order except for product groups. We do that just so you can find product groups very quickly. But when you choose a product group, it is a conglomeration or a bunch of materials that have been put together in an assembly, so to speak. Okay, and we call that a product group. So you can go into product setup, call it whatever you wish, and start adding the different components into that product group. And when you're going through an estimate, like if I said, hey, I want a stairway, I can choose one, hit add. All the materials to that stairway will now show up on the material list. Okay, so that's miscellaneous items. Cupolas, you can draw cupolas, or I should say calculate cupolas and it will draw them. You can do up to 3 cupolas. Gutter, pretty self-explanatory. You can go in and choose your gutter, and then how far apart you want your downspout outlets and so on. All right, and then here we have attic plywood. So if you want some sheeting up in the attic, when you click on that and you select a sheet of plywood, it's going to calculate the ceiling area of the attic or the floor area of the attic of the truss. Okay, next. We're going to go into fasteners. Oh, before we do that, we have advanced settings. So if you're building a template out of an estimate, you can go into the advanced settings here. You can tell it what price category you want to use for that template, how you want your truss seat or your bottom cord laterals fastened to the truss. Okay, you can come in here to the slider and you can choose which company you want to use. Right here, like so, how far the overlaps are on your slider, how far it overlaps the top, how far it overlaps the bottom, what do the sides overlap, and how far apart you want your trolleys on the ends, which company you want, tracks, trolleys, brackets, all of your stops, what lumber you want to use to configure your sliding door. So you can go into each one of these components and choose what you want to use, and it will always have them loaded. Okay. Then what guides, we have a stay roller. It apply if you use a guide rail, you would choose one of these. Okay, it's pretty simple. Just go in and answer the questions and move forward from there. Now we're at the fasteners, okay? Any component that needs to be fastened is going to show up here. And when you look at these, if you look up at the top, you'll see these are the components. Down here at the bottom are the available fasteners and product setup for that component. So when you click on these, notice how they change. Okay, so on the skirt board, not sure why, but somebody has associated metal to wood screws with a skirt board. Unrealistic. You go into product setup, you find those products, you uncheck using them for a skirt board. Okay, so in this case, we're going to use 3.5-inch galvanized pole barn spikes. When you click the button here, notice it automatically increments down to the next, but it adds it to the line. So wall girts right now, we're going to add 3.5-inch pole barn spikes, click our button. Top girt, 3.5-inch pole barn spikes, click the button. Metal siding, I want 1.5 inches. On the purlins, I'm going to use 5.5. And the insulation, we're going to use 1-inch cap nails. The metal, we're going to do 1.5 there as well. Our ridge cap, we're going to use 2-inch. And we're just going to do bolts, 9-inch carriage bolts, to bolt our truss to the post. And we hit next. The message center just tells us if there's any conflicts it sees. In this case, there are none. We hit next. And this is just a general summary of everything that we picked. Okay, finish. And when you get here, it'll go in and progress bar will do its magic, and it'll come up to the gable end of a building. At this point, we have concluded or added our estimate, okay? And right now it's chugging along here pretty hard because of used up RAM from the video. Okay, so notice it takes you to the side of a building. Now, notice we're using Excel. We draw right on top of the grid in Excel. Now, if I wanted to see more of this console, just go to zoom here and zoom out. There you go. Now, notice if I got lost, notice these icons here in the ribbon, they have nothing to do with Construction Maestro. It's all Excel stuff. There's really nothing you can do on this. Just what I want you to remember is Maestro is in the add-ins tab. See that? The add-ins tab. So if you're a 2007 or greater Microsoft Office user, you're going to see a ribbon up here at the top. Okay, just click on the add-ins. There's Maestro menu at that point. Okay, so I zoomed out. I want to add an opening. So when I hit add new opening, I've got choices between service doors or man doors, whatever you want to call them, overhead doors, sliding doors, windows, openings, open wall. Open wall just means turn off the whole side except for the gable end. So if you're going to do a pavilion, you could open up every wall on every side and you get yourself a pavilion. All right. Now, we're going to choose a service door. Service doors can be added two different ways. One is with 2x framing instead of post beside the door. And then the other is to put post on either side of the door. Now, if you put post on either side of the door, those posts are going to move every time you move the door. I'll show you. So I'm going to choose a 309 light right hand. We're going to put it on the right hand side of the building. I'm going to grab my lock set. I just want one. I hit next. I'm going to use the same thing we're using for the intermediates, 3-ply columns. Next, update. Now when I hit update, it's going to take that door and move it right to the center. Now when you hold the left clicker down, and anywhere between the button and the arrow, so when you move this, you hold it down, notice how it moves. See there? It's moving and it's changing the post layout as it moves, because the posts on a service door are included with the layout of how things are set up. So I'm going to bump up this door to the corner pole. Okay, so it just removes one of the posts. Now, it looks like it's cut off, but it's not. It's just a white text box there showing the dimensions of where that door is. Okay? So if you're saying, well, I want to position that specifically in one place, you could hit position from the building's right side. I want it 2 foot from the corner, update. And now you've got 2 foot from the corner. Okay? So you can also do that. Another way you can do this is instead of using posts, which won't affect your post layout, you choose 2x framing. Now it's using 2x framing that does not go down into the ground, and when you move it, it doesn't affect your post layout. Okay, so those are your options, and I'm gonna hold it down here. I'm gonna grab that button and slide it down right there and let go of it. Okay, and that's the way we're gonna have it for this drawing. I'm gonna jump over here to Eve 1. I'm gonna zoom out. I'm gonna add another opening, and let's put a window in. So I choose what company I want, which is just generic. I'm going to put a 4040 slider in, hit next. You can position the opening where you want it, vertically and horizontally. I'm just going to pop it in. When I pop it in, I can move it now where I want it, and then I can go down and up with the scroll bar that's positioned over here on the left to go up and down. Now, when you get the window where you want it, if I say there, that's where I want it right here, I'm going to move it up just a hair above the wainscot. I can now click on that window and hit copy. Notice up here, look at the door number. Opening number. It's opening number 1. You'll notice you see it right here, opening number 1. So we're going to go in and we're going to hit update. And it just popped another opening in. If you notice, we've got 2 windows in here now. If I just click on that window, which is number 2, I'm going to slide that down right here. It's just laying on top of the other window. Okay, so I can move that down where I want it. All right, so we'll say great, I'm done with that side. All right, I'm going to go to Eve 2. I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to put a header up here because I'm going to put a door opening in. I'm going to add an overhead door, and I'm going to do a let's see here, I'll do a 12 by 12. And I'm going to use the same poles as I used on the rest of the building. And then down here, I'm just going to choose a non-bearing header. This one's a pole barn header. It says 2x6 outside, 2x12 inside. I do need a header that carries a 700 pounds per linear foot capacity. Now, notice up here we have an advanced tab. All right. Down here at the bottom, that's the header over top of the door itself. So if we look at the pictures here and I go down to headers, I will show you what I'm talking about. I got some specially ready to go here. Okay, here we go. All right, let's do this. If we notice extra large icons, okay. Notice this header right here. That is a 2x6 outside, 2x6 outside, 2x12 inside. Okay. All right. Now, if you looked at it from behind, this particular header is flush to the post because I have it inset, so I don't have to pack out the back side of that opening to fill the void. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if we look at this header, look what we've got here. If I put an overhead door in right now, notice I've got a void right here where my mouse is. I would pack out the back side of this with a 2x. So what I'm saying is, just watch the dotted line here. I would be adding or packing in another 2x4 right there. Okay. So, but in the case of the picture I just showed you, I had my header inset, so the header was just like this one, inset on the inside of the post. Okay. So, just showing you these headers so that we can get a grasp of what we're doing here. The header above the door, I'm choosing a non-bearing 2x6 outside, 2x12 inside. Okay, and I'm going to continue because I'm only going 12 foot high. So what's going to happen to the area above the door? Do I want door jamb? No, thank you. I'm going to use overhead door trim. I think I'll pack out the back side of my door with back jam. That's has to do with packing out the back side like we talked about. Then I hit next, weather stripping. We're going to do white weather strip next, and position the opening. I'm just going to center it. Then notice though that we have this advanced tab. If you hit update and you don't go into the advanced tab, there was nothing put in the advanced. So you just remember you got to click on the advanced tab yourself. What this advanced tab does is it shows you right now what you have up there for your top girt above the door opening at the roof line. Okay, I want to replace that one with LVL. So I'm going to say LVL 11 7/8. Okay, and I'm going to do extreme. Let's go 14. Now just know when I update this now, I have an LVL inside and out. It's a double. One inside, one out, just like a truss carrier, so to speak. It's going to be mounted to the door poles for your trusses to set on top of. And there will also be a plug pole below. Okay? So just a heads up on the advanced tab. All right? So now we hit update. We now have our door. Now I can take the door then and I can move it wherever I want it from there. And just know that the post that's now should be a post right here in the drawings when we go to look at it. All right? So we've drawn some openings. I'm going to put one more opening here on the gable line here. I'm going to add new. Let's do an overhead door. Let's do a 13 by 10. I'm going to use a non-bearing header above it. This one I'm not going to pack out the back side just so I can show you when we do the drawings what it looks like. And I hit update and we're good to go. Now we'll say everything's done. We got all the options where we want all the openings where we want them. Okay, it's just telling me, hey, we got to move a door because I was on top of that post. So let's move that door. Whoops, I'm moving the wrong one. I'm going to position that opening, update, center that one back. I'm going to click on this door opening and I'm going to move it down here. There we go. Now we're good. We just hit finish. Okay, when you hit finish, it's going to pop up the form. All right, it's going to ask you what do you want to do. I'm going to choose print nothing, just view. If you have the labor module, we're going to ask you, hey, what labor configuration do you want to use? I'll choose default. And I want it to automatically come up to the quotation page, and I am using a retail as my price category. Okay, and I want to include the quantities on the material list. I want to include the subtotals. I want to include the grand totals. Those are automatically defaulted. You have to uncheck them to have them not show up. And don't worry, you'll have a chance later. If you go to print that material list, those check boxes will be there again when you go to print it so that you can remove any sub line items where you don't want to show off the price to each component. Okay? All right, we're going to end this video right here, and we're going to hit OK here, and it's going to take off and do its thing. So we're going to leave it here, and we'll start it in the next video. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.